Oh, hi there. Uh, the video I wanted to make today was commenting on one of the more recent episodes of Vice. Uh, it's a not bad documentary series if anyone's interested. I'm more familiar with Shane Smith going to North Korea, although I have my suspicions that he didn't really go to North Korea, that he went to kind of a bogus North Korea, that if people are really pushing their luck and really want to go to North Korea, that's where they go to believe they've gone to North Korea, and they try to make it look authentic. Uh, I don't have any proof of that, but I speculate. Anyway, this video is about one of the more recent documentaries that I saw, and it's called The Nightmare World of Gang Stalking. There were two main people that were being interviewed during this episode of Vice. One of them by the name of Richard Bruce. He has his own YouTube channel where he strongly believes in reptilian shapeshifters, controlling the world and that sort of stuff. I'd never heard of this guy before. Um, he seemed kind of interesting in the Vice episode. He was able to pick certain scenes where Keanu Reeves looked in particular like reptilian-like when it was freeze framed. Uh, I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe in reptilian shapeshifters. I don't think they exist. I mean, of course, there are people in power who are, cold-blooded bastards, but that's not exactly the same thing. But it might be an entertaining YouTube channel to check out. Although it looks as though it's a bit of a commitment. He's got over 500 videos, and a lot of them are over an hour long. I mean, I make a lot of my videos longer than I have to, because I feel like, you've got to earn a little bit, and to get information and nuggets of anything worthwhile, you gotta invest a little bit of your time. Matter of fact, I don't even watch most of my videos after I've made them. Uh, anyway, this guy is paranoid because he feels like he's been zeroed out, and that there's this conspiracy against him. The other character in the Vice episode was a man named Billy, who was a makeup artist or something like that. He claimed to be one of the top 10 in the world. I'll choose to believe that, although I didn't really see anything to back that up. There were a few pictures of him uh, on, kind of a red carpet sort of scene, but not anything major. With people I'd never seen before, so I don't know about that. But he was, less interesting character. Um, he had made it a point to say that he was a homosexual a few times. Uh, don't see why that would add to his story, but he felt like mentioning it. Uh, he mentioned also a concept called street theater, which I'd never heard of before, but evidently he felt when he was walking past certain areas that people um, were trying to act so normal around him that it was unnormal, and he thought it was suspicious, and that they all must have thought of this beforehand and were doing this for some reason. That to me sounds like a paranoid delusion. Just getting that many people to cooperate on any sort of level, I don't see it happening. Like, it's amazing how difficult it is just to get 10 people to do anything. That's why, things like religion, uh, you know, hundreds of thousands of years ago, was, very good for society in the sense that it was able to, you want 10 guys to climb up the side of a mountain, you just tell them and they do it. Whereas, without religion, you tell 10 guys to go up the side of a mountain, they're all going to have excuses for not doing it, and you can't make them. It's called unit cohesion. Um, And religion was responsible for a lot of wars back in the day, but well, that was just the language. There would have been other reasons why wars would have happened anyway. They would have happened. But anyway, don't want to drift off topic here. Um, these two people believe that they are being targeted and zeroed out, both for different reasons. I'm more interested in Richard Bruce's story because he seems as always probably a bit more entertaining to watch. Um, he figured that a few helicopters flying over his apartment was evidence that he was under surveillance. Um, Bit far-fetched. I mean, an apartment. I mean, obviously he has other people in separate apartment buildings within his area. I mean, this is probably just a convenient flight path. But he did seem a little paranoid, and him being unemployed, it probably doesn't help. Um, and he listed a few other instances. Say you got a dash camera, but there was no video on there that suggested anything unusual was going on. And like it's like when you have opinions and theories that not necessarily contradict what mainstream society believes, but it was just different. But different in a way that society's not prepared to understand. Like with Richard Bruce and his reptilian overlord kind of theory he's got going on. I mean, that is kind of out there in the way of theories. Um, so it gets easily labeled as a mental illness, and that word on the social scene, it means if people avoid you like the plague, they don't want nothing to do with you. And that isn't actually fair because there's numbers of people out there who, um, people say they don't have a mental illness, but they got other things going on, like they got anger management issues. Um, they could be obsessive compulsive. Those two things aren't necessarily linked, although they can be. They can be misery guts, hyperactive, all these sort of things. And to a degree, those are all kind of, a little bit strange, in my opinion. There's a lot of people out there that, you know, they got their own things going on, and people they don't even think twice about it. But if you're unique, you have different ideas, like Richard Bruce, then it can lead to you, you know, being in a place where people don't talk to you, you're ignored, society acts a little strange around you, and I find it usually happens to people in small towns, or not even necessarily in a small town, but say you only cohabit a small area within a city, then word of mouth, your name gets around, and yeah, don't really understand the social mechanics of how that can work, but it does for some reason. But I think the part they've left out is the term gang stalking. And what does that mean? Well, gang usually refers to, obviously, an organized syndicate, usually crime of some sorts, and stalking is someone stalking, is following. And those two words linked together is suggesting that an organized gang is stalking. And that's the part they've left out on this Vice documentary. Now, why would any such uh, syndicate have any interest in Richard Bruce? I do not know. He, kind of looks like, just a random YouTuber. doesn't have any money, doesn't have anything going for him. I don't know why they'd have any interest in him, but I don't know. He got on an episode of Vice, so I guess somebody does. I mean, this video has only been up since May, and it's got, 800,000 views, so that's, not nothing. Probably earned Richard a few bucks. Um, but I think isolation is really what gets people who are vulnerable to this type of situation uh, paranoid and delusional. I mean, he's a harmless enough guy. Like, I don't see why, the he has to be talked to the way he has been. Like, I can see that, and like he goes on about his father and like how he tries to explain it to them, and he's just dismissed right on the bat. And um, other instances as well. And I can kind of understand where he's coming from when he says that, because I know that impression when I go to explain something to somebody and they just don't want to hear it, and the conversation ends right there, and there's no way. And it's kind of um, like episodes on a cartoon series. It's like what happened on one episode of Ren and Stimpy doesn't apply in the next episode. And obviously, it's just like, what? I didn't talk to you last week. I didn't talk to you a month ago. What, you forget? Uh, it sounds odd to me anyway. Um, well, yeah. Um, I could see him kind of feeling like he's in a fishbowl. That's would be my interpretation to how that video went. He feels like he can't go very far, can't get anything done, and obviously, being in the situation he's in, um, it doesn't help out his situation. But the mass surveillance that he might have been griping about, um, I think it affects everybody because everyone's got a smartphone these days. Everyone's got Wi-Fi on their TVs and Blu-ray players and their PCs, laptops. They all got the Bluetooth on their on their car and all that other sort of stuff. So everyone's being watched to a degree, but some people they get zeroed out because they're of interest to somebody of higher standing, and when that happens, they become a statistic. They're not real people anymore, really. They just are there to do what they do, whether they succeed or whether they fail. I don't think it bothers the higher ups too much. It's just, you know, sending off the pawn and the chess pieces, and if a few pawns um, get lost in the chess game, then it's no big deal. Um, there was also another documentary that was called Meet the Targeted Individual Community. That one wasn't as good, and it was twice as long. I mean, here I am complaining about documentaries being too long. And how long have I already talked on this video? 14 minutes. So, yeah, I do my talking, but anyway. These people in that video definitely had mental illness of some kind. They were all paranoid that they had like chips in their brains and they could hear things, and some of them were just like, when you go to say what you think, you're just some like crazy person. I mean, they even admitted that, but I don't think they quite understood that. And I'm making this video because my situation is not entirely undifferent. I like to think it is. I like to think that I, don't have, you know, stupid thoughts anyway. Like I don't have a chip in my brain. I don't hear things that other people don't hear. I interpret information my own way, as do most people, and I have a different set of circumstances. Um, but I think anyone in my position wouldn't have too different of theories. Uh, I've been on YouTube for some time now, about 2 years, and I've made some lousy videos. I've made some alright ones. Uh, you know, somebody watching that and not understanding the context of what I've gone through may get the wrong impression of me, and that wouldn't be fair. Um, but it is what it is. People are going to think what they're going to think, and I ain't too concerned about that. But I got a few things going on that don't make me comfortable. Like I'm still physically very ill from medication I had to take for mental illness, as it were, and that hasn't gone away yet. Hopefully it will. Um, but I can't get a straight answer on that. That's one thing going on. As far as a social life goes, mine is basically non-existent. Even the guys I've known for like 10 years, it's just like, the occasional phone call every few weeks, and that's about it. Uh, Regular things don't seem to happen. Like anyone could go to a bus stop or Starbucks or the library or what, or maybe not the library, but you know what I mean. Go to places and, random people will start conversing with them. They'll start a conversation with them. Uh, for me, that seems to never happen. And it's not because I, look snarly or miserable or disgruntled or anything like that. It's just like nobody will approach me. And, it's just like, why would that be? How could that be? But I do also believe we live in a society where people don't actually really want to talk to, other people. Like you see it all the time when people, particularly on the bus, try to actively pursue a conversation with someone who doesn't want to have any conversation. They're just busy flicking around on their phone. Uh, you see that every now and then that person just looks like a loser, and then eventually a bit of a creep. Um, and that's too bad because that person's just lonely, probably, but probably annoying as well. So there's a reason for everything. But yeah, that is the point I was going to make, is that, these smartphones and things people use to distract themselves, iPads, iPods, listen to music, don't want to hear about anything anyone else has got to say. It's, disconnected them from regular society. And, I've griped before of how I like going to stores to buy stuff. And, people are like, no, I want to go to Amazon and buy it. Don't want to go to Amazon. If I want something, I want it right now. I don't want to wait 3 weeks for it to show up. Okay. So anyway, um, yeah, getting to my situation. Um, Life is a lot quieter than it should be. And, arguably, gang stalking doesn't necessarily have to be illegal activity. It could be, government institution of some kind, all sorts. I mean, there are a lot of different, aspects that, I don't know anything about. I don't. And, you know, unlike those other guys I mentioned, Richard Bruce, who's, other than maybe possibly an entertaining YouTube channel, I don't think he's got a lot going for him. Uh, Billy, the homosexual guy, um, I don't know, maybe, who knows? I have no idea why anyone would be interested, but, to him, somebody is, so I don't know. Not going to comment too much on that. As for me, though, I have made videos before, and some were lousy and some were good. And, a lot of them were controversial videos. Uh, Not necessarily in a bad way, but, probably not entirely kosher, for lack of a better word. Um, So yeah, I can definitely understand, that feeling of, you've been put somewhere that, you're deliberately excluded, and it could be for a whole chain of reasons, because the world out there can be a whole lot like dominoes. As soon as one falls over, chances are a lot of them are going to fall over, and that can just happen inadvertently, which is amazing, isn't it? How far we've come along with science, social economics, philosophy, and all that sort of stuff, and how it can all come crashing down just because there's a slight hiccup in the system. And the powers that be on the, in the upstairs department of the government, they are very interested in human behavior. Of course they are, because there's, many aspects of it that need to be improved upon. And, cherry picking individuals from society and deciding, well, maybe we can learn something from this person, um, is definitely something that they'd be very interested in doing. There's many reasons. They can just learn things that they would not have thought of before, and possibly steal their ideas. Probably, as a matter of fact, like, I believe you make videos on the YouTube and you have anything interesting to say, not only will you not be paid, someone will come along, take your idea, slightly tweak it to their own interest so that it looks like it's just not enough to be yours, and you get nothing, and they get away with stealing your patent. But, with my YouTube channel, if I'm not involved, it ain't gonna work. So I can't be totally shafted. Although I'm sure there's some people who would try very, very hard. Well, fuck you. Yeah, my ideas are my ideas. I don't know. A lot of people don't have the balls to say the kind of things I have to say on the internet like this, but I do it because I don't care. Because it doesn't matter what you think. Not too concerned about that. Everything seems to be going, somewhat all right. So, should be strong enough to, enter the real social world at some point, and I think I'm well prepared for it. I could stand in front of 50, jokers and, tell them what I got to think. Probably have to write a bit of a script before I do it, not just off the top of my head. But, I ain't intimidated by that. I don't think so anyway. I guess we'd find out one day, but I don't know. Until then, making videos is a lot easier if there's another person there, talking back. But I haven't found a single person who's interested in being in the video with me at the same time. Except this one guy who wanted to talk about Star Trek, but he's even more hopeless than me than in regards to making an interesting story. Which is too bad because he's a nice guy, but he's just not. He's hopeless. But I think part of the reason why people get zeroed out and removed from society is very primitive animal reasons, particularly for males. Like, it's easy to push a male out of the way because other men instinctively will not like guys, just because they see them as competition for job opportunities, women opportunities, and all kinds of things. And instinctively they want to battle. It's not usually fisticuffs anymore, unless there's a lot of beer involved, I suppose, at a wrestling event. But there are other ways you can duke it out with someone. You just you know you get your way by playing your social chess game, and they get excluded, and you've won, and some people get off on that, or feel better about themselves by doing that. I personally would see no enjoyment in doing it unless there's an asshole out there that really wants to cause me more discomfort than I already have or continue my discomfort, then, obviously there's a problem there. It's unavoidable. What can I do? Something to consider anyway. Try and keep a cool head about things, but when things are going on and you're not aware of them, the world's spinning while you're just staying there stationary. Um, it could be anything out there before you understand where things are going in your life. Because if the powers that be have taken interest in what you're doing, then they have every advantage as far as planning, premeditating social scenarios, um, manipulation, and all that sort of stuff. And it becomes all the more easy if you're in a situation like me where I have a physical impediment because of my neck. So I'm at home a lot of the times. My only resource for any kind of communication whatsoever or information really is the internet, and nobody should be, cursed with that because there's really not a lot to be learned on the internet. A lot of programming on the internet to tell you what to think, but not really that much to learn. There's a difference. You should look that up. Um, I don't want to be programmed. I don't want people to tell me what to think. Uh, Obviously, gotta listen to what people have to say sometimes, but you gotta understand when they're saying something to you and when they're telling you something. And when they're telling you something, that's them saying you have to think this way or you're wrong, and they're gonna get mad. And you know that could also be a reason why people get socially isolated is because some asshole in some position it got extremely mad, and the only way to kind of mellow them out is to, you know, push certain individuals out of the way, um, because certain philosophies can be like weeds that can grow into a tree if given enough sunlight. However, there are those who know that step and are a step above. They know all the arguments you can make, and they want to stop you before you even begin to, I don't know, formulate any kind of philosophy. Uh, Basically, they come around with weed eater and yeah, so most of them just shrivel up and turn to dust. But there are a few of us that we don't go away so easily. Been rambling on a lot about this video. Was trying to make more of a point here, but yeah, just if only I could tap in to what society thinks as a whole a bit better than what I am, because I've been on the outside for too long, man. I have no idea what's going on around. It's impossible for me to know. Impossible. Because I know there are douchebags out there who have opinions about me, whether positive or negative, and they affect my life. Everybody's got that. That's not a paranoid thought. Everybody has that. Whether it's your boss, whether it's your girlfriend, whether it's your friends, whether it's whomever. There are people out there who have an opinion about you, whether it's positive or negative, and they do not tell you, and it affects your life. It's the same for everybody. It's just, some people have more people who have those kind of things, and as a group effort, um, they're not sure what to do. So the only thing they know what to do is to go, well, we're going to give them nothing. And, guys like me, we have to survive on so little that, it's amazing that we have, any grasp of reality whatsoever at this point. I mean, me, I've got my things to entertain myself. I used to like drinking beer for one thing. That's been like 6 months. Really, really could do with a beer, but no good for my throat, so I can't drink beer. Annoying, very annoying. Um, where was this video going? Did I make it just to waste the time of whomever may be watching it? Maybe someone who's required to watch the whole thing? Maybe I'm just pissing them off real bad right now. Maybe they're going this, oh, I gotta sit through another half an hour long video of Thunder Javelins. I didn't want to do that. I had better things to do. Ain't nobody got time for that. Well, you're gonna have to make time because I think some of my videos on my other channels were quite good, and I'm not trying to waste anyone's time. You don't have to watch my videos if you don't want to. It's more of an outlet for myself into the real world, a window, perhaps. Be kind of good if I had a joke of some kind. Maybe that would be better. People are easily entertained if you can tell jokes. I'm not good at telling jokes, though, unfortunately. Yeah, I got nothing. I don't have a joke. Hmm. Oh, but you know what was funny? I bought one of them Yoda, um, voice boxes. Basically, you push a button and it says a quote from Yoda, right? And like, it was in my pocket, right? And like, I just, it's a novelty. It's entertaining, right? And like, okay, so my pockets are kind of tight, right? It's on my coat pocket, right? I brushed past it with my arm, and the quote, "When 900 years old you reach, look as good you will not." And it was funny because like this old geezer was walking past at the same time, and I don't know if he understood that it was a Star Wars thing or not, but he must have thought I was saying that he was very, very old. I think he did think it was Star Wars, or maybe he did. I don't know. He didn't say anything. He just turned and looked. That's all. But I thought that was kind of funny. This is another one. For 800 years, I trained Jedi, and you know, Yoda kind of reminds me of like a little Chinese man or something. I suppose. Uh, but anyway, I guess I'll wrap this video up. But um, the documentary by Vice, uh, the targeted individuals one, kind of a waste of time to watch. If you had free time, you could watch it. But the nightmare world of gang stalking, that's more of a real thing, or seems so anyway. It seemed like it was a better documentary. It was shorter too, so don't have to waste so much of your time watching it. And I mean, I'll be thinking of the literal definition of gang and stalking a bit more than that documentary implied. Um, I don't know, because I mean, those guys in those documentaries, I mean, I don't see how they could possibly get any influence to make any real kind of money. But I may have had a few reasons for why things could be going on my channel, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna finish this. Talk to you guys later. Have a good one.